big world out there. How are y'all doing? Hey, guess what? It has been 7 whole days since I talked to y'all. Like, oh my God, that is a long time. 7 whole days. 7. A long, long time. I'm so happy to see y'all. Hey! So look, as you all know, this has probably been a challenging week for a lot of people. Some people may have encountered some ups, some downs, highs and lows, different, indifferent, whatever it is that you encountered, thank God. Because guess what? You are still here to tell the story. Somebody else didn't make it, and somebody else is not able to tell their story. So whatever it is that you encountered in this past 7 days, take it as a testimony, a learning lesson, or just tuck it and put it in the back somewhere where you don't even have to think about it if it's not necessary. Think about the positive outcome that you are here in the land of the living. Yes, that's very exciting to know. And I like to share that with y'all because no matter what you've been through, that's going to always be a testimony because you come out on the other end of the side, right? So, I started doing something new last week and I started giving out fun facts, right? And that just lets you know the type of individual that I am and what I do in my spare time, right? So, today is June 28th. We are in the last Saturday of the second quarter and the last Saturday of our June awareness of Alzheimer's and brain awareness. But not only that, today is day number 165. Today is 179 days that we have been inside of 2025. That leaves us with like 180 some days left, 186 if I'm not mistaken. Can you believe that 6 months of 2025 has already came and left? Like, I still remember January like it was yesterday. And the second fun fact that I want to give you is that, did you know that the letter A is not contained in any numerical number until it reaches 1,000? I'm going to say that again. The letter A is not contained in no numerical number before you get to 1,000. So if you just count the numbers and you spell them out, the letter A is not in any of those numbers. It only gets to the letter A when you get to 1,000. So you can even go all the way up to 867. There is no letter A. And I found that to be quite interesting. And so I just wanted to share that fun fact with you all. I also want to take a moment to give a special thanks and a special shout out to Amber Imani of Amber Imani LLC. Oh my God, last week's show, Saturday, June 21st, was amazing. Like, I don't know if you caught it, but if you didn't, please go to our YouTube page and you can click on the link for 621 and view the show. All of my other shows are also on YouTube, and I'm going to be posting that link just in case you all don't have it. So a special thank you to Amber. She came out and she talked about self-esteem, self-worth, being enough, trauma, and just being in silence with yourself and what that encompasses, and different factors and triggers that play on the mind. So it was very informational. I felt like I was in therapy myself because of the information that this young woman was bringing to us. Like, it was so amazing. So thank you, Amber Imani. We truly, truly appreciate your presence and your wisdom for sharing. Thank you for that. I know people are still celebrating their June birthdays. We had a lot of June birthdays that passed. Some special birthdays to me, of course, was we kicked it off with my sister Denise, and then my G baby, which is my grandbaby, all the way in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and then my bestie, my ride or die, all of the above, Lachey Maria, and then my best friend Chrissy's mom celebrated her birthday also. I think it was the 20th, and last but not least, my big brother Tim's birthday is coming up this Sunday. So happy birthday to June birthdays. If you're still celebrating, please continue to celebrate your life. Don't just wait till it's your birthday. Celebrate every day. Hey Bree, that's my niece. I love her. My baby can cook too, so if y'all want some food, contact me for the information. She's good with the cooking. Also, I would like for you all, if you get a chance, to please like, comment, share this information. This content is so important. You know, I wish that they had this information when I was growing up, because it is so important now. Looking back, I would have done so many things differently if this information was actually available, and it wasn't. As I go through and I look at different corporations and different places like workplaces and even our educational system, they took out the basics of finances. They removed that. They don't even teach you anymore at the job place, hey, these are the forms you need to fill out in order not to have a deficit, or how this would look at the end of the year. What they tell you is how much you're going to make, and they let you fend for yourself. So it's a lot of information that we're giving out to everyone because we want you to be informed. Not only do we want you to be informed, but we want you to be aware, because this information is so, so very vital. And to those of you all who don't know, not only do you get me on Saturdays, but I have another show that I host with Cedric, which is the Ticket to Kick It, and I am the Polished Prophet. It's Fridays at 7:45 p.m. on our live, and it's an after 7 affair. We start at 7:45, and it's called Perspectives Unlimited, and it means, and we do exactly what it says, Perspectives Unlimited. So there is no limit to the conversations that we have. That's why it's called an after 7 affair. So tune in. You can also catch some of those episodes on our live and also on that YouTube page. So I'm going to give you all a brief summarization of what we have talked about in the month of June. So we all know that June is recognized for Alzheimer's and brain awareness. We know that Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder characterized by progressive cognitive decline, primarily affecting the memory, the thinking, and the behavior of the brain. We also know that brain awareness, it aims to encourage people to learn more about the brain and its unique, very, very, very unique and responsible abilities, and the importance of brain research. We also learned that the color purple is recognized and is the primary color for Alzheimer's in families that have been affected by Alzheimer's. And also purple is my favorite color, so we learned that too. We also captured how understanding finances and how it impacts Alzheimer's. We talked about the importance of early financial planning, conversations that families should be having more often than what we should. We talked about protecting seniors, men's mental health. We talked about Father's Day. We talked about Juneteenth. And we talked about National Safety Month, because that's what June is recognized for. And also, I don't think it's passed, but I think the parade is going to be held tomorrow, which is for the LGBTQ plus community. if you are going out to the parade and you are going out celebrating, please be safe. Please be aware of your surroundings. Please go out and just have a good time. I think we lack having a good time. We don't know how to have a good time anymore. So let's get together with friends, with loved ones, with people we haven't seen in a long time from way back when, and just have a jolly good old time. It's enough sadness that's going on in the world today. So if you're going out, drink responsibly, no drinking and driving, and just have a good time. Represent if you're going to represent, but represent in a respectable mannerism. So now that I got that all out the way, we are going to talk about financial planning dealing with the effects of Alzheimer's. And again, that's a cognitive decline where you have memory loss and you forget the smallest things. Where did I put my car keys? Where did I put my purse? Did you see this? Did you see that? So it affects so many different parts, and we want to talk about how we do a financial plan with Alzheimer's. But before we talk about that, we want to first know what a financial plan is. So to summarize a financial plan, that's you sitting down, whether you're doing it monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, and you're putting together your list of expenses and you're putting together all sources of income because you're trying to come out with a number. You're trying to make sure that you want to put this away for that rainy day. You want to put this amount away for that rainy day, but you don't know if you have it if you don't have that budget. That's to summarize it. Now we're going to see what the smart people say about what financial planning is. So the definition of financial planning, what it is it's a financial plan, and it's a comprehensive document that outlines an individual's and organization's current financial situation, whether it's long-term goals and the strategies to achieve them. So if you want to, and you can use your financial plan for your financial goals as well. Let's just say 5 years from now, you want to buy a Porsche or you want to have a mini mansion. So you're going to sit down and you're going to plan, how can you get to this goal? How much do you have to save? What are you going to compromise? How are you going to be able to sustain right now and still be able to meet that goal? Maybe you can't get a Porsche or that Lamborghini or that mini mansion. So you may want to start with something else, so you're going to save your money. Basically, that's what a financial plan is. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is how the financial planning, how you started with Alzheimer's in mind. And I think that as individuals, when we're doing our planning, we don't think about the inevitable. We don't think about that rainy day. We don't think about something that's going to happen down the line. We're only thinking about right now, or if we got something planned 2 weeks out, maybe 3 weeks out. So what you want to do to create your plan, you just want to make sure you have all of your income and expenses there. You don't want to cheat yourself. You don't want to say you have more than what you really have, because now you're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. So when we're thinking about planning for Alzheimer's and we're planning for the future, we want to think about creating a care budget plan. And to create that plan, you have to assess the needs and do the extensive research. When I tell you so much goes into this, you be surprised. Some people, and I was one of them, I had to actually take FMLA from a company that I was working for, because the things that I'm going to be talking to you today about is actually what I actually dealt with firsthand with my father. So when you think about assessing the needs and the income and the costs, what you're going to be looking at, the medical costs, the housing, and the supporting services that you want to get, right? And when you think about that, you want to think long-term care. Is this going to be 24-hour care? Is this going to be for assisted living? Is it going to be for a nursing home, whether it's privately funded or funded by the state? Or you're going to be looking at financial assistance programs. And I'm going to break all of those down to you right now. So we're going to start with around-the-clock home care. And I did some research, and studies show that in my area, and I'm in the south suburbs, companion care can start between $20 and $30 an hour for a loved one, whereas personal care can go from $25 to $35 an hour. But if you choose to opt to get a skilled nurse, you're paying between $50 and $80 per hour. If you get home health care service, and this is around the clock, you're looking at about $5,800 a month. If you get in-home care, that can start at $5,700 a month. Assisting living can start at $4,800 a month. Out again where I am, in the south suburbs, for an individual that works 130 hours a month for companion care, that can range between $3,000 and $4,000 a month. Adult care can start at $1,800 a month. Now, the caveat to that is that as you're planning and you're looking at these costs, you also want to think about inflation, because nothing is going to stay the same across the board. Them prices are going to increase, and it's going to jump up before you know it. You may get locked into a price for 24 months. Some may be 12 months. But after that, when the cost of living goes up, do understand you're going to get that cost of living increase for those medical services. When you're also checking out different locations and different agencies for your family and your loved one, you want to consider the agency, right? You don't want to just put them anywhere. You also want to consider the location. Can you get to the location? Is it convenient for you and other family members? Is this location reputable? Have you visited the location? Have you talked to people in the location? All of this is so necessary, because what may look beautiful on the outside, and when you walk in the front door, it may not be that same look that you're going to get anywhere else in that facility. So it's important to do so. And not only did I learn that because my father was in a nursing home, my mother used to also work at a nursing home. She started out as an activity aide, and then she eventually got promoted to an administrative assistant, whereas I like to call her the administrator because everybody ran to her. When she took days off work, they had to call her to ask her where stuff was. I can remember the elevator crew coming out one day, and they had refused to work on the elevator because my mother wasn't there, because she knew everything that was going on with the building. But however, this is stuff that, she had always told us. When you're looking at a nursing home, especially if it's funded by the state, don't just stop at the front and talk to the receptionist. You also want to talk to the people that live there, because they know what go on. It doesn't matter what they're going through far as why they are there. You just want to know the conditions, because the residents are not going to lie to you, and they are not going to sugarcoat it. You also want to talk to the staff that work there. And I don't mean just the social workers or the caseworkers. Talk to the people in laundry. Talk to the people in the custodial section. Talk to the people that work in the kitchen. Talk to people. Get familiar with where you're putting your loved one, because they are going to be there. And you want to put them somewhere where you can entrust that they will be taken care of. Meet the staff. Meet the CNAs. Meet the nurses. Meet the administrator. You best believe if I'm spending my money, I want to know the top person. Prime example, I went to DeVry. The location was downtown and it was a small location. However, because I was paying $6.09 per credit hour, I needed to know the president at that location. And I met the president. Had a nice conversation with him. We also did some events together. But I say that to say it's important to know who is at the head. It's very important, especially when you're dealing with finances and around the care for your loved one. You also want to consider if it's not in-home care, what about therapy sessions and transportation? Will you be able to take them to these places? Hey, beautiful Bam. Thanks for joining us. You also want to know, would it be convenient for you to get there? Would it be convenient for you to get someone else to get them there? If not, what does that transportation cost look like? What transportation service are you going to be utilizing? This is other outside costs that we don't think about on a regular basis, but that's why I mentioned week before last, these are conversations that families should be having more often than what they have. Now, I did speak about nursing facilities, whereas if it's funded by the state or federal, or if it's privately funded. And the difference between the two is private nursing homes are typically owned and operated by for-profit and non-profit organizations, while state-funded facilities are run by the government and receive public funds. So that may also be a big factor for you. You may not want to have your loved one in a state or government funded facility. You may want to go somewhere private. It's up to you and the care needs of the loved one. It's within their best needs, but you also have to think and be realistic about cost. I'm so much aware of that. Now, there are also financial assistance programs out here that a lot of people are not aware of. And we're not aware of that because they don't make a big hype about it per se. You don't find many of your accountants that sit and talk about this openly unless it's brought to their attention. So to go out and do that research, especially if it's a whole bunch of jargon that you don't typically understand, you get on the phone, you on hold all day, you just don't got the patience for it. There's other ways and means around that. So some of the locations that you could contact would be the Loving Home Care Society and the it's the Loving Home Care, it's the National Care of Aging Department, the Illinois Department of Human Services. All of those places are very reputable, and they have people. It's a 800 number you can call, and I'm sorry I don't have that number, but you can call that number, and you can also chat with people and set up interviews. Some of these organizations, if you're unable to get to, can also give you a virtual tour. Now, virtual tours are good, don't get me wrong, but I'm a hands-on person. I like to go in, I want people to see me and know me, and that, this is my family and my loved one. You're going to be seeing me like you see the staff. Now, as you're looking at these places that you're going to be going to, you also want to sit and have a conversation with your loved one's medical team. That is so very important. Throughout the process, when my father was declining, we had to put him in a nursing home. And it was me and my older sister, Benita. We sat and we had endless meetings with the care team, all of his doctors, whether we did it once a week or once every other week. If they were unable to contact me, they were definitely contacting Benita. Nothing was done without us knowing. Not only that, the nurses knew us. The staff knew us. The people that were in the facility knew me when I came because they got so used to working with me and seeing me. When my sister came home to visit, and the staff was like, nice to finally put a face with the name. because we had already established that rapport. The CNAs knew who I was. I can recall there was a time I went to go visit my father and the sheets weren't changed. And before I could blow a gasket, the CNA was like, look, we were running late. Some stuff happened. Don't go off, Shavonna. I promise you, we was finna get to dentist. I promise you we was. So you want to be aware of the surroundings that your loved ones are in. You also want to take in consideration, what if they are nonverbal? You want to be able to pick up and read on everything that's surrounding your loved one around any facility that you're going to put them in. And so talking to that team of doctors, talking to the medical team that's over your loved ones, talking to the social workers, that is going to be so very important. And while you're doing that, you also want to keep in the back of your mind, and you don't want it back there because you want to push it to the forefront, think about that cost. You want to think about that extra cost, because I don't know about you, but there's not a lot of things that's free anymore. So you want to start planning for that. And it's okay if you have not started. You can start now. It's never too late. While you're also looking at the living conditions, and you didn't assess the needs of your loved one, you didn't assess the care, you know what has to happen. You're putting together and implementing your financial plan, and maybe it's just monthly for now. You also want to look at insurance considerations. Insurance can play a big factor in this. Whether you have long-term care insurance or whether you have life insurance riders. I'm going to put a pin in it right there, right? And I'm going to talk about that. So, long-term care insurance is very important because that will help and assist the long-term care for your loved one. Whether it's in-home care or it's at a facility and it's 24-hour care. That's what that insurance is there for. You want to make sure you talk to a reputable agent that is well versed in that, so they can get you the right insurance for the needs of the patient. That's so very important. Now, when I say life insurance riders, a lot of people are like, Shavonna, what is that? I ain't never heard of that. Well, guess what? Up until a month and a half ago, I don't think I knew about it. And I just happened to find out about it because I wanted to increase some insurance that I had. And I realized that I knew what it was. I just didn't know that I knew what it was. So, to sum it up, life insurance riders are basically extra benefits and add-ons to your life insurance policies. And with that, you can tailor it to fit however you need it to fit. So there are, and it's cost effectively dependent on what you get. So you have accidental death insurance. Whereas, let's just say you're walking and God forbid, a piano just fall on you. Well, that's accidental death. So that's a life insurance rider. Then you have a waiver of premium rider. And what that is let's just say that I become fully disabled and I am unable to work. I am able to use that waiver on my life insurance rider because it's there. It's for me. It's there to help me. I have critical illness rider. And what that is that it's a lump sum payment if diagnosed with a critical illness. So let's just say you go to the doctor, they diagnose you with an illness that's critical and they label it as critical. Well, guess what? If you have that life insurance rider, that can be added on if it's not already added on, and you will get a lump sum payment for that. But you have to consult and talk to your insurance agent. It's very important. Life insurance is so very important. Now, that's a whole nother topic, and we're going to be talking about that and the importance of it, and also how that affects your finances. But I'm not going to go too far into that today. I'm just giving you some other add-ons that's actually available to you for life insurance. What's up, DJ slash Chef Steve-O? So it's very important that you get that, because you just never know what's going to happen, and you're dealing with the inevitable. Now, something else that's so very important while you're planning for your loved ones, especially since we know that Alzheimer is a cognitive disease, we're going to plan for asset protection strategies. This, in a nutshell, is epic. And what I mean by that is, and I'm going to be talking about like if you have a spouse or generations. So let me give you the definition of it first. Asset protection strategies are legal and financial plans designed to safeguard your assets from potential creditors, lawsuits, or other financial risk. Very, very, very important. If you pay attention to some of the news that's out here, you hear a lot of people say, well, I put that in so-and-so's name, or I got it in this, or I got it protected in this. And that's because they're protecting their assets. I'm so big on getting the living will, getting the trust. Don't put your family through probate if you don't have to. Have the necessary things in place. A trust, again, a living will. Talk to your attorney about that. Get that started. Because what you don't want to happen is your loved ones to be into it and bickering over money when it's not even necessary. Also, if you have a corporation or LLC or prenuptial agreement or retirement plans, guess what? Those cannot be touched either, because you have them protected in an asset protection strategy plan. It's so important to get that started. We look at other people and wonder why they are so successful and they don't go through these things, and it's because these are the steps that they have taken. People, listen to me. Get a hold of yourself. Get a hold of your finances. I don't care if you make $1,000 a year. Sit down and talk to somebody. Get things in order. This comes with that long-term goal that you can be setting. And you say, well, I make $1,000 now, but who knows? Before the end of the year, I could possibly be making $89,000 a year. So what do I want to do? I want to protect my finances. How do I do that? I may have went and bought a car and a house. I may have gotten an animal that I don't want nobody to touch. Guess what? I'm sitting down and I'm talking to somebody's lawyer because I need this protected in an asset protection strategy plan. I need to make sure I'm covered. There won't be any fighting. My professional advice to you is it's crucial to consult with a qualified attorney or a financial advisor that specializes in asset protection strategy plans. They can do it, but you want them to specialize in it because that's their area of expertise. They're going to cross all T's. They're going to dot all I's. They're not going to leave any stone unturned. So go to them. If you have your spouse with you, that's fine. Even if you're leaving stuff for generations to come, which is your children, your children's children, your children's children's children. You want to make sure you have everything covered and protected so nothing falls by the wayside. Now, my legal advice to you would be to, again, make sure they're skilled. Make sure they know what it is that they're doing. And how are you going to make sure? Because you're going to do your research on it. Also, that trusted individual that we talked about in week 1 that you should have, whether it's a friend, a family member, a neighbor, an accountant, whomever you're comfortable with sharing your finances with, that you know will have your best of interest. That's who you sit down and talk to with this attorney. Now, I can almost guarantee you that if you go and talk to this attorney, they're going to want to know if you have an accountant, because they're going to want to know how your assets are already set up, if they're set up or not. Even if you don't have any assets, they're going to want to look at your tax returns. They're going to want to know if you're in compliance. And reason being is because they're going to be able to do that budget, that strategy budget. Not only that, they're going to try to work collectively together to make sure that anything that's implemented on your loved one's behalf is done and done at its best. Okay, so that's very, very, very important. So now that we've talked about that and I've given you some advice on that, I do want to talk about the red flags that we should look for as indicators for cognitive declining, because that's going to be so very important. Very, very important. And I say that because I know if we see signs, sometimes, especially if it's someone close to us, we say, oh, stop playing. So, for example, my father, I've noticed that he was forgetting the smallest things, like, what is today? And he was serious, but I didn't take it seriously. I would joke with him and say, oh, stop playing. You play too much. You know it's Thursday. And he really, truly didn't know the day. But I was in denial, and I didn't want to accept that. Reality didn't set in until he didn't know who I was. And that's when I took a closer look, and I made sure I showed up every day, and I talked about the past. I tried to get him to remember who I was, and when he did, he knew that that was a safe space for him. When he saw me, he knew that he was going to get something to eat, whether it was a Polish from Fat Albert's or whether he was getting a corned beef sandwich. He knew that when I came, he was going to have something familiar. And for if not that 2 to 5 minutes, that meant the world to me, because we were able to talk about the things that he was able to remember. So it's very important to pay attention to the signs. Although we don't want to acknowledge it and think that it's us and it's hitting close to home, we don't want to also sweep it under the rug. So if you notice that a friend, family, or loved one has missed bills, or the payments are late, and that's not in their norm, you need to look out for them and watch for those signs. If you have POA, or if documents are on file with any companies that you have access to, you want to pick up the phone and call. So say, for instance, you may have power of attorney over that person's ComEd or NICOR bill, and you see a late notice, and that's alarming to you. You may want to call and say, hey, I'm calling on behalf of account number 836-949-21763, and I have power of attorney. And if they're able to talk to you, which I'm sure they will be, they're going to say, well, oh, we haven't received the payment in 3 to 4 months. That is definitely a red sign, because you know that this person does not neglect their bills or their payments. You know that if they're late, it's a problem. Like, it's funny now, but I used to laugh. The beginning of the month, my mom would sit down and say, don't bother her. She sit at her table with her little calculator, with her balance checkbook, and she write out all her bills and balance her checkbook, and she made sure to mail them on the 1st, because they had to get to their prospective designation on time. And to ensure that, I made sure she had the stamps to do so. So, if at any point that something was late or missed, that would have been a red flag. And because I'm aware of the signs, because I went through it with my father, I would know what to look for. Something else you want to look for is unusual or impulsive purchases. So if you notice that this person is just going out spending money just because the sun is shining, well, oh, I'm going to go buy a new couch for the living room. Well, didn't we just buy a couch 3 months ago? Why are we buying a new couch? Or they don't need it, but they bought half of a gym. which means they bought a treadmill, they bought a bike. Why are you buying this? Where are we going to put this? Is it really needed? So things like that you want to question, especially if it's outside of the norm. It's so important to watch for just those small little mishaps that doesn't happen in the everyday life. You also want to check for confusion. Again, I mentioned this at the beginning. Oh, did you see my keys? I misplaced my keys. Where's my glasses? Your glasses on top of your head, or they're on your face. And I know that we do that now, but it's different when you're dealing with a loved one who's battling a disorder such as Alzheimer's. It's different when you're looking from that point of view. So you want to make sure you're paying attention. If they don't know where the remote control is at, or if you're watching a movie and they don't recall watching the movie, or they don't recall what just happened maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago, that's something to look forward to. I think I shared the story about my grandmother. She battled Alzheimer's, and she hit dementia first and then Alzheimer's. And whenever she would wander out the house, the only place she remembered to call was her church. She didn't know no other address, no other telephone number. The only thing she knew was the name of her church, her pastor's name, and the telephone number. She knew that. And so whenever she walked out and they brought her back home, we were aware they only found out about us because they contacted the church. So those are other things that you want to make sure that you look out for. It's so very important. And again, I know that sometimes because it's a friend or a family, we put it to the side. We toss it under the rug. We don't think about it. Well, now is the time to start thinking about it. What I would like to encourage my viewers to do is start quarterly having a family meeting with that important person that you're going to put over everything. Have that accountant come out if it's not a person of the family. Have that attorney come out if it's not a member of the family. And you all sit down and you just talk about things that need to be put in place, far as health insurance, far as long-term care health insurance, far as life insurance, even far as putting money away for a rainy day. Meaning, and I get it, I'll be the first to say, look, I don't have the money for that. I'm already paying this and already paying that. I can't think about that. I'll worry about it when I get to it. But what happens if you cross that bridge and let's say you're a homeowner and God forbid the roof cave in? You don't got the money put away for that rainy day. And so now you have to try to get that money, whether it's taking out a loan or borrowing. Anything can happen because that's an extra cost that was not talked about or planned for. And that's where that budget is going to come in at. Sit down and talk about this stuff. This stuff is so important. Have someone come in and do maybe a 20 to 30 minute seminar with y'all just to get you all more aware and familiar of how to start small. You don't have to start big, people. You don't. You can start with $5 or $10 a pay period. You'd be surprised how over time that will increase, especially if you're at an age where you're gonna start taking care of your parents or anyone. You want to be able to put that money aside so you can have that money to make sure you are taking the right steps to help that friend or that family member. It's going to also be so very important that if you're looking for facilities, again, I cannot stress this enough, go visit that facility. Do some research on that facility. And I don't mean just look it up and see how long they've been in business. Do some extensive research. Extensive. Because again, you're putting your family, friend, loved ones health and their life in someone else's hands. Yes, you may go visit, but you're not there 24 hours a day. You don't know what's going to happen. So you want to get a perspective. Talk to the people that live there. Again, the residents are not going to stir you wrong. And you'll know if someone is exaggerating or they're mad because they can't get their way. But you will also know the ones that's true about it and that's not going to sugarcoat it. Have a rapport and a relationship with the medical staff team that's over your loved one. If it's a neurologist, the PCP, whatever care team has been put in place for your friend, family, loved one, you need to have a rapport with them. That's so very important. Social workers, they're going to also play a very, very important factor in this. If you see that things are declining and you just don't want your friend, family, or loved one in a living assistance facility or a nursing home and you want them home, you have to plan for that. Remember, I said earlier, for an individual, and this is just out here by me in the south suburbs, just for 130 hours a month, that's between $3,000 and $4,000. I haven't even factored in inflation costs. Let's just say it's an assisted living home. That starts at $4,400. Let's just say I want in-home care. That starts at $5,700 a month. Let's just say I throw it all out the window and say I just want a skilled nurse. That's between $50 and $80 per hour. And so you want to account for that. You want to have those finances set aside for that to be able to help. You want to utilize those programs that I talked about for assisted care, which would be the lovingHomeCare.org, the Aging Care Society, Illinois Department of Aging Care, Illinois Department of Human Services. Those companies are there to help. And again, I say Illinois because I'm in the state of Illinois. So whatever state you're in, you want to reach out to those entities. If you don't know how to contact those entities, no problem. Give us a call at Anointed County. We believe in finding out information. There is no reason why we should know information, no matter where it's at. So if you have a problem, give us a call. We're here to help with that. I briefly touched on this last week before last, and I just want to reiterate this again. And I'm going to use the IRS and the Social Security Administration because they are universal no matter where you go. If there is an issue, the Internal Revenue Service nor the Social Security Administration office will call you. If you've ever called their 1-800 number, the recording also says, "We will never call you." So if someone calls and says they're from the Social Security Administration or the Internal Revenue Service, you know that that's a scam. You know to hang up. If your loved one is there and they answer a phone and it just don't sound right to you, grab the phone and take the call over because you don't want your loved one being scammed. You want to also, and I know that we love to keep our seniors upbeat and keep their mind going, so we get them tablets or even laptops or even the latest phones just because we want them to be hip with us. We don't want them to get left behind. Teach them about those scams that come across. Don't answer that. Don't give anyone your information. If you get a phone call and it says, "This is Wells Fargo calling you," and you have an account with Wells Fargo, tell them, "Look, I'm out right now. I can't talk. What is this call about?" And they tell you, tell them I'll call you back. What you do is you hang up and you call the bank to see if the bank was trying to reach you. If you can't call and you're mobile, go to the bank to see if the bank was trying to contact you. And just by doing and taking certain steps like that, we can help protect our seniors. We can. This is our way of helping them, even if we're not there, because we've already made them aware. Let them know that these people will not call you. And if they do call you, if they are asking for money, take their information and tell them you will call them back. 9 times out of 10, they will hang up. And again, I just want to give you some resourceful information. And this is not just for seniors. I think this is just for everybody. Report scams to the National Elder Fraud Hotline. That number is 833-FRAUD-11. 833-FRAUD-11. You can also submit these complaints to the Federal Trade Commission, and their address is at reportfraud.ftc.gov. So that's reportfraud.ftc.gov. You can also contact the FBI's Internet Crime and Complaint Center, and you can also contact Adult Protective Services. These entities are out here and nationwide to help our seniors with scams, because we love our seniors and we don't want them getting scammed. We don't want anyone taking advantage of them, especially if we're noticing a decline in their health. If we're taking the necessary steps of finding in-home care versus outpatient care, if we're looking at transportation, therapy sessions, whatever it is that we're investing all this time and energy in, we need to use that same time and energy to invest on protecting our seniors. It's so important. Again, try hosting that meeting every quarter, every 3 months. You can start with 2 people. You can increase to 3 to 5. It's at your discretion. But sit down and talk about this. Start making a plan for that. And again, you don't want to do it if someone is agitated already, or I know if I'm hungry, you can't talk to me about nothing but food. And if you don't even have the food right then and there, we still have nothing to talk about. So get away from me. So you really don't want to do it if someone is hungry. You'll know the right time when it is to have that conversation. And I know sometimes it's hard for us to have those hard conversations, but you will be more pleased with yourself because you have everything in place when that time comes. It won't be no arguments, it won't be no hassles, and everyone will know their exact role. Period. So get together with your family, get together with your accountant, your tax preparer, your attorney. Look at those asset protection strategy plans that I mentioned. Contact some of I know you can contact AARP. Colonial Penn is another life insurance for the seniors. I know that there is also the state of Illinois has also implemented a program for seniors and getting insurance if they're over the age of 50. So it's stuff out here to help our seniors. We just got to get on the ball and get things rolling. Is it a process? Absolutely. Does it take time and patience? Absolutely. You work 9 to 5, the company is open 9 to 5. That's why it's best to have someone working with you. So maybe you can't call, but a sibling can call, or a grandchild, or that trusted niece or nephew. Maybe that girlfriend or boyfriend can call on your behalf because they have been put in the loop of everything that is going on and what's going to transpire. But those calls are not just those calls, but those meetings are so important and so beneficial. Putting that money away is also going to be beneficial to the long care of that friend, family, or loved one. And again, you can start as small as you like. You can start as big as you like. What I like to do is start with change. I am a big advocate of saving change. I think I'll save change before I save dollar bills. And you'd be surprised. Here's another fun fact. If you take a gallon jug and fill it up with all dimes, you will have $6,000. I should know that, but I do. A lot of stuff I should know, but I do. Clearly, this is not just research. That means I've done it. So I'm not going to tell you nothing that's not right. But it has to be all dimes, not pennies, not 2 nickels, dimes. And any jug, any gallon jug, whether it's a milk jug, the gallon of juice jug, whatever. It's just so important to save how you see fit to save. You'd be surprised. There's also a money challenge I've seen on social media where you put so many dollars away every day, or you double it, and at the end of so many months or weeks you have this much money left. So if it's hard for you to save money, there's different challenges that you can challenge yourself to save money. Like me, I love desserts. So what I'll do is I'll challenge myself to save money and say, okay, I usually spend about $100 a week on desserts. I'm going to put that $100 up because I want to see if I can really save it. And then after I saved it, what can I do with it? So after that month is up, I done saved $400 to maybe $600 that was all going to go on desserts. Now guess what? I could take that money and invest it into something else. I can make it more meaningful for a lifetime goal. I can go get that life insurance and that burial insurance. I can just be more prepared for that rainy day just because I decided to challenge myself. So however you see fit in saving money for you, whatever works for you, you have to do what's best for you. If you find things challenging, that's where you can reach out to us at. Okay? So, I hope I've given you all some very, very, very insightful information. I know that a lot say, well, what does this have to do with taxes? Everything starts with a transaction. Everything is going to have a tax attached to it. So you have to be aware. A lot of things that you will be implementing will be coming with certain forms at the end of every year. You need to know if it's going to go on your tax return. You need to know what sits on your 1040, page 1 and 2. You have schedules 1 through 3. Then you have other forms like the Schedule A, Schedule C, Schedule D. All of these informations that's on the bottom of these schedules transfers over to your 1040. Now, we're going to also be talking about that in upcoming series also. But I just want to let you know that the information that I'm supplying is very important as it relates to your taxes, because everything starts and ends with the transaction. And I want you to think about that. When you're talking about money, you're going to get somebody's attention. When you're talking about being on top, at the end, when you climb down that mountain, you want to see how it looks. And just for personal growth, you want to see where you're profiting and where you're losing at. What can you do different? What can you implement differently? How can you make a change? And again, you don't have to start out with astronomical long goals. You can start with short-term goals. Start doing it every month. Then move to every 3 months. Then move to every 6 months. It's how you see fit and moving along with what works best for you. That research is going to be so beneficial when you're trying to get life insurance and the care of the needs for your senior loved one, friend, or family member. Don't take that lightly, because you are over someone else's finances. So you need to know what's going to happen. So again, I encourage you to please comment, like, love, and share. Send me an email if there's something you want us to talk about or you have some information. If you have not done so, please go to YouTube, search Anointed Accounting, ANOINTED ACCOUNTING, and subscribe to that YouTube page. You can see all of our episodes that we've done. I would like for you all to tune in next week for another great episode of Let's Talk Finances. Again, if you're out this weekend enjoying this heat that I don't like, I'm waiting on the winter, be safe. Be intentional about being safe and protecting your space, okay? I would love to see you all next week. Thank you for sharing your time with me as we talked about Alzheimer's and brain awareness, and as we're ending the second quarter. You guys know I like to start early and I like to end on time. No, I like to start on time and end on time. So with that being said, have a phenomenal weekend. Have a phenomenal rest of June. And I will see you all next Saturday, Lord's willing. I love y'all. Bye-bye.